February 17, 2025. President's Day. I'm going to dig into that tonight and talk about that. Let's see. Listen, if you're not subscribed, go to my YouTube at brewmedia.com.
Of deceit. Telling the truth is a revolutionary act.
So, and that's the truth. Telling the truth today is an absolute revolutionary act. Listen, if you're not on my YouTube, subscribe right now. Go there, go subscribe. I got some really cool graphics and stuff on there. If you notice, I've upgraded some of my equipment, so I get better pictures now, better quality video. Plus, on my YouTube, I have other graphics and stuff that I add to these. So go check it out. If you're not subscribed, you're a poser, right? Don't be a poser. Go subscribe, like, share, comment. So, tonight, Bones is going to talk about to restore Washington's Day. Also, we're going to talk about Trump circumventing around Zelensky and snubs Europe too. Tesla gets $400 million deal from the government, or did he? Trump fires people watching our nukes. Oops, thanks Elon. Trump also signs an executive order, probably the worst executive order I've ever seen in my life, pausing investigations into foreign bribery. I mean, are you kidding me? This and a whole lot more, so strap yourself in, grab a cold one, and let's get this started. Of course, I want to share a quote from the father of our country, why everybody took off today, which I think is so fitting. Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains to bring it to light. So yes, thank you, Father Washington, for that. So hi, how you doing, Julie? So President's Day should be returned to Washington's Day. Trump has made a big deal in his administration regarding names. He renamed the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. He also restored Mount McKinley. So why not restore Washington's birthday? You know, legally, the holiday is still called Washington's birthday. That hasn't changed. There is no official holiday called President's Day. Okay? So, let me explain how this evolved. Okay? Washington's birthday is actually February 22nd. So it is not today. Sadly, today, I see people posting pictures of Trump and all this BS. You know, President's Day is Washington's Day. It's not Trump's Day. Sorry, bootlickers. Sorry, you bootlickers. It's not Trump's Day. It's not Obama's Day. Obama, right? It's not George Bush Day, right? It's not JFK Day, okay? I'm sorry. It is George Washington's birthday. It's George Washington's Day, which is sad. The sad part is everybody took off today and very few people on the internet, except for me, and very few people, I mean less than 1%, actually mentioned George Washington. Okay? I almost had to force it out of people. And the sad part is, okay, this was a great American hero. This was a great American who helped form this great country. And shame on people, shame on Americans today for not recognizing the greatest president ever this country's ever had. And I'm going to get into why he was the greatest. That the reason why it's on the 17th and not on the 22nd, that's because in 1968 they changed the date we celebrate Washington's birthday to the third Monday in February. So we get a 3-day weekend. See, we care more about ourselves and hanging out, party and have a good time than actually honoring the father of our country. Most people actually do not spend the day honoring President Washington. They spend it hanging out, having fun, doing whatever. They don't even mention his name. Like I said, very, very sad. It wasn't until the 1980s that retailers started calling it President's Day to advertise sales. And now many Americans aren't aware that President's Day is about our nation's father. They now think it's to honor every stupid sitting president that we have, no matter how dumb or ridiculous they are. And it pisses me off, I gotta be honest. Because not all presidents should be honored. And Washington really stood out as a selfless lover of liberty. Okay? He was a lover of liberty. There are many presidents that should not be honored. Do you really think Biden should be honored? Jimmy Carter? George Bush? Right? It's completely ridiculous. Trump? Sorry, bootlickers. Trump should not be honored. Trump couldn't fill George Washington's one shoe with both his little fat feet. I'm sorry, he can't. Especially with the garbage that he's been pulling lately. Please, President Trump, I'm begging you. You like to restore names? Restore Washington's birthday. We owe it to our entire country and the Republic that Washington and the Continental Army fought for us to create this great nation. He could have been king, okay? And he looked at them and says, are you kidding me? No, I'm not going to be a king. And a matter of fact, George Washington easily could have won a third election. He started the tradition of stepping down after 2 elections. It wasn't all the way until socialist FDR came into power when he ran 4 times and won. It's absolutely disgusting that we try to stick other presidents with the father of our country. It's absolutely disgusting that people don't know what today is about. And that other presidents have tried to cuck this birthday. And let me tell you, come the 22nd, I will be recognizing the forefather of our country's birthday. That's the day that should be taken off. Hold your government accountable. Yes, Isaac, yes. And let me tell you, Isaac and everybody out there, our government is running wild right now. Our government is running wild, and sadly, Americans with good intentions, I believe a lot of these voters who voted for Trump have good intentions, okay? But they back this guy, what he's doing. I'm sorry. Look, I gave Trump the benefit of the doubt. I says, look, no, I didn't vote for him. I voted for Chase Oliver, proudly. But all the things I'm seeing now, and I've said on dozens of these lives and YouTube videos, I was wishing Trump all the success in the world to be the greatest president in the world of all time. He's not going to do it. He's not going to be that president because he will not follow the Constitution. He will not follow the rule of law. And sadly, he's running his people off the cliff with him. Would George Washington do that? I doubt it. I don't think so. So I wanted to go through other BS holidays that we take off, okay? Now, some of these holidays we could group together, and some of these holidays we just get rid of, right? So the first one is New Year's Day, right? So look, if we want to take off, why do we have to pay federal employees to take off, right? We could take off as a nation, right? And not make that a federal holiday. We don't need it. Let's get rid of it, okay? Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. Look, I think he's a great guy, but should he get a day like George Washington? Absolutely not. Doesn't mean I don't support him. Doesn't mean I don't think he's a great guy, but I'm sorry, okay? We shouldn't be paying tens of thousands of government employees to sit home and peddle their Peter all day for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which again, he doesn't rise to that level. I can name tons of Americans that we could then, if you can make the argument for Martin Luther King, I think can make the argument for dozens of other Americans who would then deserve a day. Of course, Washington's birthday, yes, he deserves a day, but he deserves it by himself without the other presidents. Now, Memorial Day. Memorial Day I would put with Independence Day, right? They kind of go together. Those two should be together, okay? Where you honor the people who serve and our independence at the same time, because it kind of goes together. Now, why do we have a Memorial Day? Why do we have an Independence Day? Again, you know, it's very popular for presidents and Congress to create holidays, you know? And, you know, who doesn't want to take off? Most of these holidays, okay, that I'm mentioning, people don't observe it. Right now, more people do observe Memorial Day. More people do observe Independence Day. But again, the vast majority of people, you go to the beach, right? They're not, they're not celebrating this. If they're getting drunk on the beach, hanging out, they could care less. Again, I would put those together. Juneteenth, that's out of here. The problem with Juneteenth is that we still had 500,000 people that were slaves 8 months after Juneteenth, right? So we're celebrating the end of slavery while we still had slaves. That's a completely fraudulent day to have off, and we're paying people to take off. It's ridiculous. Again, all of these things gum up the system, right? So Doge, if you want to save some money, let's get rid of Juneteenth. Labor Day. Labor Day is another day we can get rid of, right? Think about it. We're taking a day off for labor. People aren't working as it is, right? Again, that's a day. Again, that's a socialist holiday, right? Where the socialists came in and they used the unions, right, which were completely racist back then, to keep blacks and Chinese immigrants from working, right? We can get rid of Labor Day, okay? It's not a necessary holiday. And again, I would add Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and Independence Day all together. So there's 3 holidays we could put all in one. Columbus Day, again, that's another day. I'm sorry, we don't need a Columbus Day. Okay, I respect Columbus. Matter of fact, when I debate people regarding the Middle East, I actually say I want to follow Columbus because Columbus was willing to sail off the edge of the earth than to try to go through the Middle East. So we should try a little bit of Columbus. But again, that's a day I would get rid of. Now, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would keep those days. You know, because, you know, those days, again, are very particular to the country, okay? Thanksgiving has an incredible story for the country, so does Christmas. And so I would, let's see, so I've got it down to 1, 2, 3. My America would probably have 4, maybe 5, you know, federal holidays. Now we have a federal holiday in almost every single month. It's completely ridiculous. And if you're in the private sector, right, and you don't work for the government, it completely screws you up. Let's take me, for instance, today. Look, again, I had to go to the bank today for something. I couldn't, right? They were closed. Now, again, if it was on the right day, on the 22nd, you know, I would have been able to go to the bank. Yeah, that's right, Yvette. Labor unions absolutely would hate me because I would expose them for the lies that they have told regarding the creation of all their erroneous laws that they've created. I mean, a person that I would turn everyone on to is Thomas Sowell. Check him out. He's a black American. I've met him. He's a great libertarian constitutionalist. He's a black gentleman who grew up in a very poor situation. And this guy, I mean, he's excellent in economics. I believe he's got the Nobel Peace Prize, if I'm not mistaken. I got to check that. But he's in the top academia. And he goes into great detail how, the unions prevented blacks and the Chinese from working in the factories. Because what happened was, when they created the minimum wage, okay, they made the bar too high for them, right? Because think about it, right? When you hire somebody, right? If you first off, if you have the government create a fictitious wage, okay, what happens is there are going to be people who can reach it, and then there are going to be other people that can't, right? And it's those people that can't is why the unions created the minimum wage, right? See, you think that you're helping families by creating a minimum wage, but actually you're hurting families, right? You're hurting the lower end. It's the poor people that don't have any skill or somebody just starting out, right? See, in order to hire, like when I hire somebody, right? I've hired a lot of people in my life. I stopped hiring, but since COVID, I stopped hiring. But when I did hire people, right? If I'm going to hire somebody, okay, they have to not only produce enough labor for the wages I'm paying them, but they also have to produce enough wages to pay for the taxes, right? The equipment, right? All the land and capital use, right? They have to also make me a profit. Otherwise, what's the point? Okay? So what happens is when you artificially raise that bar up, you're kicking people off, right? Now, are you helping somebody? Are you helping a family who has a low-skilled wage worker and you make it so high that they can't get a job? Now what do? They go in the underground economy, right? Or they go and steal, or they go into drugs or some other thing, right? So, and, if you don't like price controls, right, let's start with the minimum wage, right? Come on, Republicans. Come on. Come on. You say you don't like price controls. Let's get rid of the minimum wage. You also say you don't like price controls. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. They are the biggest price controllers we got. Want to know why the kids are so stupid? They never go to school. For example, the research, which I think. Wait, let me see. Sorry, Amy, I just read this. Yeah, well, that's right, Amy. I mean, look. Again, why do presidents and Congress, why do they keep creating federal holidays? Again, think about it, right? The largest employer on the planet, okay, not just in our country, but in the world, okay, is the U.S. federal government, okay? So, those are voters, right? Those are people who are going to vote, okay? And who wouldn't want another paid holiday, right? A day to hang out and party with your friends or, lay on the couch and do nothing, right? But if you're in the private sector, right, it's not a holiday for you, right? Most people in the private sector, okay, they don't get a holiday, okay? Most people have to actually go to work, okay? And it actually gums up the system from doing that work. Like, one of my businesses, is calling businesses, doctors and lawyers and people like this. And, because of a federal holiday, when we call certain institutions, they're closed, right? And so, it gums up the system. Again, if I can't, go to the bank, I can't use the post office, I can't make a sale doing something, right? How does that benefit me? How does that benefit my employees, right? How does that benefit my establishment? It doesn't, right? It only benefits those who are getting the benefits from it. You know, yes, Neva, yes, I agree. Year-round schooling, I love it. Let's get these kids back in school, and you know, again, that's a big part. Those are all voters, right? People who work in the school. And again, I have teachers as friends, and you know, it's not that they're not bad people. They're great people. They have good intentions, right? They're trying to teach our youth, but the laws make it prohibitive, right? When you're sending them home all the time, or you don't let the teacher. Another thing that bothers me is, you know, again, I'm not for abusing children, okay, because that's wrong, but I am for teachers being able to discipline the kid on some level, right? You got to be able to scold the child. You got to be able to send them home, right? You got to be able to fail them, right? Sorry, Sonny, you don't get a trophy because you lost, right? So, you know, again, you know, this, again, all of this here, you know, that, you know, we can't offend nobody, you know, we got to take all these days off. It's very important. You know, it's complete nonsense. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about Washington's birthday. Now, George Washington, you know, was an incredible human being. He, you know, him and the Continental Army, what they did at that time was absolutely incredible. And I believe he should stand out amongst all the other presidents, no matter how much you like or dislike the current president or the next president or the last president. Washington really needs to stand on his own, and it should be on his birthday instead of this BS to have a 3-day weekend. But I will bring up Washington's birthday actually on the 22nd when it comes. And I hope that you join me. Please join me in recognizing the father of our country on the 22nd. Don't let me be the lone wolf out there doing it. Let's recognize this man because he was a great man. And yes, every human being has faults to them, but we're human, right? So I wanted to talk about that. So Trump goes around Zelensky, but what does Russians demand? What does Moscow demand? Moscow is demanding that Ukraine cede control over 4 southeastern regions, none of which Russia fully controls, and expects the West to lift all sanctions going all the way back to 2014. Putin told Trump he wants to settle the reasons for conflict, indicating stopping Ukraine from joining the outdated Cold War type behavior. So Putin is talking about NATO. And again, I'm against NATO. I'm not for NATO. As it sits right now, sure. You know, can we have an alliance with our partners? Absolutely. That's what partners do. However, the way it is right now, the way it's structured, the way that it is completely corrupt. But again, we could be military partners without a NATO, right? Again, NATO's not in the Constitution, right? As a matter of fact, the founders frowned upon, you know, getting in the affairs of foreign estates, right? And that's why they wrote the Constitution as they did. So NATO's unconstitutional. You got to get rid of it. So Pete Hegseth weighed in on this in Brussels and basically gave up Ukrainian territory before the Trump negotiations even took place by stating that Ukraine returning to its original borders is an unreal objective. So Pete Hegseth stepped over the president. He said it. But unfortunately, Trump then agreed with him afterwards. He thought about it, said, yeah, you know, I guess Ukraine can have its territory back. Let's be honest. Let's be honest why we're in this position. Biden didn't even try for peace, so you have to give Trump some respect on that regard. At least he's trying to do something. Actually, Biden avoided peace deals because his intelligence agencies were using their old school tactics to wear down the Russians, to inflict pain on them by keeping it going, while keeping the War Department fat and wealthy. So, this is what they did after 9/11, when we went into Iraq, we went into Afghanistan, just like Vietnam, you got to keep it going, right? Because again, war is big business. If you got to read Smedley Butler's book, War is a Racket. High-ranking general talked about this. Eisenhower, on his last day, you can look it up on YouTube. He talks about the military-industrial complex. And so, yeah, look, war is a big business. And it's a shame that we have people in power that, would keep wars going, to keep the war machine going, right? It gives jobs, right? All those bombs got to get made. All the, equipment's got to get made, right? Got all the shipping costs, right? And so, when you have a Federal Reserve not backed by gold, right? It's just paper, right? And, you could just keep borrowing money, right? Because the people who loan us money around the country are too stupid to cut us off, right? They're the real idiots. They're the ones that are going to get stuck with the bill. Because, let's face it, America, we're not going to pay it, right? And so, Biden gets in, and he actually avoids peace. Why? Not because he hates Russia. He doesn't even care about that. It's to keep the profits going, keep the war machine going. And I'm sure Biden got a kickback. This is how this stuff works. Trump is, however, at least trying. Now, I'm not going to jump the gun by saying it's a bad deal or foolish, because it hasn't happened yet. However, it does seem that Trump and Hegseth gave up a lot prior to talks. Look, spending in Ukraine is terrible. I would hope that they want people of occupied territories. Let me catch up here. Occupied territories would have some say. If they were all Russian, it would stay Russian. Crimea is lost. Well, see, this is the thing. You're right. It turns out that the territories that Putin wants is not occupied by Russia. They have troops in there, but it's a mixed bag. It's Ukrainians that predominantly live there. Look, war is ugly. It's a shame that this has happened. Now, look, Putin's a bully, right? So he got Crimea. He now is going to take whatever territory that Trump is willing. Again, I don't know why this doesn't sit right with me. Our country is willing to give up other people's land. That bothers me. It's like, I get it. Look, we hold the purse, and we hold the bombs, and we have, the power behind Ukraine to either keep it going or really shut it off. But, as much as I don't want to fund Ukraine, which, again, we have no business over there, I also don't like the fact that we are negotiating other people's territory. It just, I don't know why that would we want somebody doing that to, let's say, Louisiana or something? If we're just like, oh, let's just, maybe we got in another battle with Mexico, and then China comes along and says, oh, we'll negotiate Louisiana away. Like, we wouldn't want that, but this is the world we live in. Should we continue to pay billions for their defense? No. Look, we can stop. Look, it's not in the Constitution, right? And We don't belong there, okay? We don't belong supplying them weapons. So yeah, again, if it's not in the Constitution, we shouldn't do it. I stand firm on that, literally on every single topic we could talk about. And that's one of them. No, we don't belong in Ukraine. However, should we be the ones negotiating other people's property? You know, that's the part that really bothers me. I think Europe, if Europe wants to have a bigger role in this, that's fine, okay? You know, but I don't, you know, it's like us giving away some other territory, you know. No, I don't believe, I just don't like it. It just doesn't sit well with me. Now, look, we have to see what the final deal is. I haven't really gone one way or the other. I can just tell you what my gut reaction is. I think we're rewarding Putin. I think Putin has a reward, you know? I mean, Trump is talking about and I get Trump's perspective. Trump is talking about taking the resources from Ukraine, right, for what we gave. So, let me get this straight. Ukraine got attacked through no fault of their own. Actually, it's more NATO's fault than theirs. But okay. Ukraine gets attacked. Now, we're going to take their resources, their natural resources, and then Putin's going to take, you know, 4 whole big sections of property, right, of land. Like, what is left for Ukraine? You know, the whole thing, again, look, you know, if we're selling Ukraine stuff, like, hey, you know, we sell Israel weapons all the time. Nobody says anything about that. Look, if we're going to sell Ukraine stuff, that's different. You know, we're going to sell them stuff. They shouldn't get it for free, right? But at the same time, you know, we're going to, you know, you can't change a contract. You know, I just got in a huge debate with somebody that I have a contract with. And the person tried to change it because I was trying to get services outside of my general area. And I said, hey, wait a minute. You know, it doesn't say that if I leave where I live and get services outside of this area that I have to pay this extra fee. So it turns out I was right. After fighting it for like 30 days or whatever, I was clearly right. The contract doesn't say that. You know, when we gave Ukraine those weapons and money, there was no loan attached, right? We gave it to them. It's a gift, right? So now we're going to turn around and say, oh, it's not a gift. We're going to take all your natural resources. I mean, you know, this is why we shouldn't get involved in this stuff. This is why America should keep its nose to itself. Look, we're $36 trillion in debt. I believe Trump is going to add more debt than any other president in history, okay? Just looking at interest on the debt, plus the size of growth of government, okay? Even though we have Doge, you know, nibbling around the corners on some stuff, the really big stuff, right? They're not even talking about yet, right? So, look, we have $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities, okay? $200 trillion and counting, okay? We have no business, you know, going overseas and giving people stuff, you know. Look, if you want to donate to Somalia, you have that right, okay? If you want to donate condoms to Gaza, and by the way, it wasn't Hamas Gaza, it wasn't the Palestinians Gaza, it was Gaza in Africa, okay, in Zambezi. So, Republicans got that wrong, Trump got that wrong, Elon got that wrong, so I just want to straighten that up. Yeah, we did not give condoms to Gaza and the Palestinians, we gave them to Gazans down in Africa. Now, again, I don't want to give condoms to anybody, right? I don't even want to give Viagra to our troops, okay? I'm sorry, okay? You know, have trouble, sexually pleasing somebody or whatever, right? Whatever your sexual problems are, okay? The government should not have to pay for it. I'm sorry, okay? That nowhere in the Constitution does it say, you know, we have to help you get a boner. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but it's the truth. So yeah, I don't want to give Viagra out here, and I don't want to give condoms to Gaza. Yeah, I don't know where Zelensky is. What are we saying here? Yeah, so look, we know that, you know, Ukraine was a big money laundering expedition, right? We already know that. And again, this is why we shouldn't be in these foreign entanglements. Now, I'm going to get into another story that I found very interesting. I see nobody's really covering. Well, I can't say that. Rachel Maddow covered the story, but she screwed it up like most of her career. So, Tesla receives a $400 million government contract. Or did he? Or did they? Rachel Maddow of MSNBC, or MSNBSC, reported that the Trump administration and federal government has handed Elon's company Tesla a $400 million government contract to buy armored Tesla trucks. Now, you know, I don't know if you've seen the Tesla truck. I've seen them. They're quite ugly in my opinion, but hey, you know, it's a free country. You can buy whatever you want. I don't want government to subsidize electric vehicles, right? If you want to buy an electric car, right, don't make the poor pay for it. You go pay for it for yourself. But they're not really dependable. And you know, they get caught in like an inch of snow and just really bad handling. But okay, they're free to get a government contract if they fit those needs. However, it turns out that it was not the Trump administration, it was the Biden administration who made the $400 million offer, not Trump. And now the deal is actually on hold. Sources close to the deal said that the Biden administration created the deal to try and move the government's Bureau of Diplomatic Security fleet, roughly of 300 armored vehicles, into zero emissions electric vehicles by 2035. So Biden was looking for an alternative, you know, vehicles that are, you know, electric. They have roughly 300 in the fleet, and looked at looked at Elon's Tesla truck, Cybertruck, and said, hey, you know, that might be good for us. And so it was Biden. The deal started way back in 2023 by the Bureau of Diplomatic Security to see which electric car manufacturer would be willing to take that request. According to the Trump administration, the only electric company willing to even accept looking at the deal was Tesla. The State Department stated that the next step is to issue an official solicitation to be sent out to the vehicle manufacturing bid. However, solicitation has now been put on hold. Rachel Maddow clearly got the story completely wrong, blaming Trump, when it was actually Biden. And now it turns out that as of today, there is no deal. I am sure Rachel Maddow will retract her story just as soon as she watches this. You know, just like she retracted WMDs in Iraq. You know, you gotta love it. You know, how come a little organization like me, look, I'm a one-man band. How come I can, you know, get this right? You know, I don't have, you know, hundreds of people in the background working for me. You know, how come I can get that story right? You know, but, you know, these people with these massive organizations can't. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. And this is on both sides. They're just brainwashing, you know, expeditions. You know, they go on, people like Rachel Maddow, and they have a story to tell. Okay, it's not news, it's a story. And their story, they get their white sheet from the boss, and they read from it. And somebody like Rachel Maddow, her whole night is poking fun at the president, making Republicans look like buffoons, and it's not news, right? It's their opinion. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have an agenda. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be one of the few people that tell the truth. If anybody is giving you news that says they don't have an agenda, they're lying. So I'm going to start out by telling you the truth. I have an agenda. My agenda is to help teach people about free market, capitalism, economics, the Constitution, right? I'm going to hit Trump if I think he did something wrong. I'm going to hit the Democrats when I think they do something wrong. Like I just did a story the other night, and it really lit up my Democratic friends. Because, the Democrats have waved the white flag in Congress. Yakeem Jeffries was basically saying that don't call him, don't call the Democrats, call the Republicans if you don't like what's going on. We're powerless. Like, what a very soy, weak, pathetic group of people we have in the Democratic Party. I mean, and I'm trying to tell my Democratic friends, because I have some really awesome Democrat friends who, they believe a few social issues differently than conservatives, okay? But they're not bad people, right? The ones that I know. I didn't speak for everybody. But the ones that I know, they're great family people. They love their family. They serve the country. They're good people, okay? They're just misguided, right? And I try to explain to them how they're misguided. And I'll tell you what, I've had phone conversations with several of them who ended up coming back to me later on saying, you know what, Bobby? You were right. That was a welfare trap. Or, you were right about Social Security. Or, you were right about, something with the economy like inflation or, the transfer of wealth and all this stuff. And again, I'm willing to have those conversations with people where a lot of people aren't. If you, only watch Fox News or Newsmax, right? Or you only watch CNN or MSNBC, you're only getting part of a picture, okay? You're getting the picture that most likely it soothes you. It makes you feel better because you're like, oh, I can relate to what they're saying. It's copium, right? They're giving you copium, not opium, copium. And so I'm trying to break sort of through that. I'm not going to give you copium all the time. There are going to be things you're going to agree with me. There's going to be things you're going to say, hell no, and that's okay. But as long as we're just honest about it, what the agenda is, now people can decide for themselves, hey, I want to hear this or I don't, right? I certainly don't want the government getting in the way of our speech. Like, for instance, Zuckerberg went to Trump's inauguration. Now, I just am wondering, my Trump supporters who voted for Trump, did you vote for Zuckerberg to be at the inauguration or Bill Gates or any of these people? Now, why I brought up Zuckerberg is because I'm on Facebook. And, the last time Zuckerberg hung out with Trump, okay, he went to the White House in 2018. Within 18 months, he was already spending hundreds of millions of dollars censoring you, censoring me, putting us in Facebook jail, kicking Trump off of Facebook, right? And now he's back at the inauguration. Now, Zuckerberg turns around and says, we're going to get rid of fact checkers, right? We're going to get rid of fact checkers. But what he does now is he censors people like myself. Like right now, I broke community standards. Now tell me what I said. Can anybody tell me what I said tonight that makes me break community standards? Now, here's the thing. When I do my program, now if you notice tonight, I got some new equipment, so I hope the quality's coming better tonight. I keep upgrading my stuff, but I have to actually shoot this on 2 cameras, okay? This is a 2-camera shoot. And the reason being is because when Facebook cripples the link, I can't post it anywhere. And I like to take my shows and post them on YouTube. And if you're not on Broom Media on YouTube, you need to go and subscribe, because I got some really good stuff on there. So please go to Broom Media on YouTube, like, share, and follow, and subscribe. Please subscribe, because again, the more we get out the philosophy of freedom, liberty, free markets, Constitution, right? I think the better off we're all going to be. So, yeah. Oh, he's been fact-checking so many of my friends. Okay, yeah, well, thank you, Julie, for posting my link. I appreciate that. Well, what he does is now I automatically break community standards. It's like they have these trolls who work for Facebook that just do nothing but report shows like mine. Because again, I'm not talking how Zuckerberg wants me to talk, right? I'm completely against his philosophy, right? Because I believe in the First Amendment, and I believe in the Constitution, and these are the values that Zuckerberg don't like, right? And so as a result, I get punished on his platform for doing so. But luckily for me, I'm smart and I have 2 cameras. So even though my link here is crippled, I can get it on my other camera and it'll be just as good. So, enough of that stuff. So Trump fired, then unfired National Nuclear Security Administration employees. Termination letters were sent to employees across the federal government last week. The Trump administration affected an agency in charge regarding America's nuclear arsenal. On Thursday, about 300 employees at the Nuclear Security Agency were fired. Oops. The National Nuclear Security Administration maintains, refurbishes, and keeps safe the United States' more than 3,000 nuclear warheads. It also supervises the production of new nuclear warheads. It has a $25 billion annual budget, and more than 50,000 employees work there. Congress also put the agency in charge of thwarting nuclear proliferation research and development around the world. They also are in charge of propulsion systems for submarines and directing national laboratories to provide key scientific engineering knowledge for U.S. nuclear weapon systems. Those laboratories include historical Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, where the top secret Manhattan Project took place during World War II. Trump ended up rehiring them, but this was a massive screw up. And really, because we have to get into this, Trump has to stop, honestly, with the executive orders. Look, I get it. Republicans are thrilled with executive orders all of a sudden. I remember when Obama was doing executive orders, and, Republicans came out, oh, this is unconstitutional, he shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. Look at it now. Trump has turned the White House literally into a dictatorship. And I hate using that word because I'm not using it the way the left is using it. I'm using it in the sense that he thinks he can just do whatever he wants. And he can't. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say the president has these powers. Nowhere. It's not in there. If you can find it, go post it because it's not there. Also, another thing that's not in the Constitution is ours, right? You know, what made our country great, okay, was the fact that we had the most honest government on the planet. We had the most sound banking system, right? Think about this. Our country was so sound and so honest that the rest of the world would store their gold and treasure in our vaults, okay? Vaults. Do you think they would do that today? If we went back to a gold standard, do you think the world would be like, hey, America, hold our gold? You know, they're not even going to get paid back on what we owe them, you know, let alone holding their treasure. You know, again, you know, we can't be hypocrites, right? We can't say, oh, you know, we don't like executive orders when Biden does it, but boy, we love them when Trump does it. Now, again, why is Trump using executive orders? Why? Talking about Viagra, you know, Mike Johnson is about as impotent of a human being as you can get. I've called this guy out so many times. I mean, if you had to put a picture of a rhino, okay, it would be Mike Johnson. He is the perfect rhino. I mean, he loves Ukraine funding. You know, he loves giving Israel as much as they want. He's for every foreign entanglement you can find. You know, this guy, let me tell you what he did, Mike Johnson. Trump gets elected, and the people voted because of the economy, right? Inflation, the economy, right? And what did Mike Johnson do? He grew government. He spent more money. He grew the budget by hundreds of billions of dollars, okay? After Trump was elected, okay? Now, this prick is talking about getting rid of the debt ceiling, right? I mean, is that what you voted for? Trillions more in spending, right? Of course not, right? So the real showdown to see where the Trump administration is going, the next big showdown will be the debt ceiling. I'm very curious to see, do they raise it, or does Trump say, no, we're not doing it this time? That's going to be a real, because if they raise it, everything Doge is doing is bullshit. It's BS. Sorry, excuse my language. It's BS, right? Because I guarantee you, they will raise it far more than the little bit of cuts we're getting with Doge so far. So anyway, speaking of corruption, because this one really got me. Trump signed an executive order pausing investigations into foreign bribery. So, you know, this really, really bothers me. Neither, it's not a good thing. Executive orders are not good. Even if you agree with an executive order, okay, it's not in the Constitution, right? We all went to school how to create a bill, right? And so that's not how you create a bill, is by executive order. Just because you agree with it, don't mean it's lawful and don't mean it's right, okay? Follow the Constitution. Don't you, wait, should we, here, I should have a poll. Should we, A, follow the Constitution, or B, not follow the Constitution? Because those are the only two options you have, right? So do you believe in what Father Washington and the Continental Army fought for, that we took off today for? Or do you believe in not? That's the question for today. Let's have a... Yes, Constitution, come on. You know? And let me tell you something. Everything Trump does with a pen can get reversed by the next guy. So, you know, you can't do business like this, right? You can't run a country by fiat, right? We have fiat money, now a fiat government, okay? Okay, you like executive orders? How about this one? Trump signs an executive order pausing investigations for foreign bribery. I mean, are you kidding me? This executive order, this is the executive order president. Trump is. Trump said right before signing the executive order that the reason why he is signing it is because he wants to do, nobody wants to do business with us because Russia and China can do whatever they want. Okay? So let me get this right. now they're going to be able to bribe people, take bribes. Look at Menendez. He's going to prison. Bob Menendez in New Jersey, right, for bribery, right? So are Republicans now for bribery? You're for really corruption? That you're going to be, look, again, you're so blowing Trump's boot that you're willing to actually allow bribery? I mean, come on. Look, again, I've said it, I'll say it again right now. I want Trump to be the most successful president ever. Okay? So you can't say I'm against Trump. I'm not. I am against this. This is bullshit. This is wrong. Okay? I'm sorry. I can't bribe. Right? What if I bribe the judge? Are you for that? Oh, well, I guess not, because I'm not a politician. I'm not a Republican. Right? But if you're a Republican in the administration, right? Or a Democrat now, you now have lawful... Thank you. Thank you. So really what President Trump means is to be corrupt. Take Democrat Representative Bob Menendez, who was just sentenced to prison for bribery. So according to Trump, he should get away, right? Should Bob Menendez be free? Right? I mean, he was caught with his pants down. Don't you guys see here what's going on? Look at Mayor Mike Adams. Eric Adams. Eric Adams, this guy is guilty. I mean, think about all the people that resigned, okay, because when the Trump administration was forcing them to drop the charges, there were attorneys, okay, they clerked for Antonin Scalia, okay, my God. These are true blue constitutional conservatives, okay, these are not, Mike Johnsons, right? These are not George Bushes. These are hardcore Clarence Thomas type conservatives, okay? I mean, this is as close to a Benjamin Franklin as you're getting, okay? And these people were willing to quit their careers because they know Eric Adams in New York is guilty. They've got the proof. And so, let me get this straight. Because Eric Adams wants to get rid of illegals in New York, we're just going to say, oh, you can do now whatever you want. The bribe that you took from Turkey, that's okay. Look, Trump, he is in control of the federal government, okay? And there's nothing saying, let's say Eric Adams goes to prison, let's say, where he probably belongs, okay? And the next guy in line takes the mayor's office. Are you telling me Trump can't cut a deal with that guy? Or maybe they have an election, or the next guy, right? This whole thing is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Look, if I try to bribe a judge, or I try to bribe a police officer, or I try to bribe, if I give, that there's a law that says if I give anything of value to a terrorist, anything, it could be this pen, I can go to prison for 10 years, okay? So, let me get this straight. Me as a citizen, I can go to prison for bribing a judge, an officer, or giving a pen to somebody that they consider a terrorist. But Eric Adams don't go to prison for bribing, getting a bribe from Turkey, for handing out special licenses and getting paid and taking special trips. That's what I'm hearing? Is that what the Republicans stand for? Look, Mayor Eric Adams was caught red-handed, taking bribes, just had the Trump administration remove his charges. Not because he was innocent, but rather because Adams will do something in return for Trump. like helping with the illegal problem. This level of corruption is toxic, and we're going to have huge ramifications for it. Trust me. If you think politicians are corrupt right now, wait till you see this. Because, you know, we already know that politicians get kickbacks, right? They vote on stuff. Like, look at Nancy Pelosi, right? So, the little bit of guardrails that you have, you're not going to take off. Why? Why, President Trump? Is it because your son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is out there getting all sorts of deals on your behalf in the Middle East? Could that be it? I don't know. But now we'll never know because, you know, Trump goes and waves a magic wand and poof, the investigations are over. Yeah, Amy, now I noticed, Eric Adams, look, he's a terrible mayor. And the justice system should see that out. You know, the justice system should be able, like his peers should be able to vote whether or not he's guilty or innocent. And then the people of New York should vote whether or not to keep him or not, right? Now again, I noticed a bunch of people jumped off when I started talking about this. You know, they can't handle it. I'm sorry. You're so MAGA that you can't handle a true story? I mean, are you that vapid? Are you that weak? You can't handle the truth? Go back to Newsmax. I mean, go back to Fox. You can't handle it? That's ridiculous. Look, Trump is no more of a civil servant than the police officer, okay? He's got no extra power over our lives than the local civil servant, okay? If our president does something good, I report on it. And I do. I just did a story before that gave Trump some positive light. Now, I gave Trump a two negative stories, you know, because they're bad, right? But some people can't handle that. And look, I'd rather go down telling the truth than to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sorry. Look, I want to get my ratings up. I want to get a lot of subscribers. And please go to Brew Media on YouTube. Hit the link. Go there, right, if you want the truth. Look, if you want to be lied to, there are plenty of stations you can go to, right? I'm going to tell the truth. And, but look, I appreciate everybody. Look, and I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing your time with me. Again, come on the 22nd. Please join me in wishing the father of our president a happy birthday, actually on his birthday, because he was a great man and deserves that. And I look up to Father Washington, the father of our country. I wish the people today in charge were more like him, okay? And had his kind of bravery and selflessness. But look, I love you guys. Thank you, and have a great night. Peace be with you, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.